Well, welcome. My name's Rob Tenyer. I'm the head football coach here. This is my 20th season, Matt. Is that correct? Lose count after you hit those double digits. Yeah, excited to be here. Obviously, it feels like a real football season this time around, and excited to kick things off. We've had this morning was our 14th practice, and really excited about the makings of our football team. We had the largest senior class in, I believe, the history of this football program. We've got 26 seniors, and so that's a lot of playing experience, and it was a tremendous opportunity to get to play last spring. We got to play 7 games last spring, and we finished the spring season with a 4-1 record our last five games. And the message was pretty clear when we got here August 5th is, we wanted to jump right back on board where we finished in the spring. And I think our football team's done that. We're excited about our progress we've made since we've been here. And got about a week and a half to go, and we'll be lining up against the number 2 team in the country, James Madison.
Questions? When you look at last year, you finished on a high note. What did that do leading into the spring? Or what did that do leading into what would be kind of the off season?
Yeah, like summer off season, right? So it was all kind of new. But bottom line is we won 4 out of 5 games. And so from a confidence standpoint, it was exciting. I also think that it helped develop our culture a little bit. And we focused on that. We took those last 5 games, and we took one of our essentials in the spring. We started with toughness and effort, discipline, and no excuses, and finish. And we tied one of those essentials to each opponent. And our players really embraced that. And so I think it was a culture builder as much as it was, just a confidence builder. And so we've continued on with that, and we've made that a huge part of our program at this point. And, it's something that our staff, our players, and everyone in our program, we want to take ownership in those things. And those things are going to drive us to be successful this fall.
Rob, one of the big things you and I talked about the other day is the size of your senior class and how crucial that is. If you would expound on that.
Well, there's so many different facets, where that can help you. Obviously, number one in this sport, strength in numbers, right? It's a physical game, and a lot of guys are going to play. You're going to have injuries. So number one, it's a depth thing that I think really helps. Obviously, we talked about the leadership piece, right? That's a lot of players in your program, whether that be 2 years or 3 years or 4 years, or some guys even here for 5 years. So those guys are, they've been here, they've been through it. And then the COVID, right? So, all those guys get that extra year of eligibility, and every one of those players, except for a few, came back. And I don't know how many teams in the country can say that. We lost 2 players, that basically had graduated with their undergraduate and their graduate degree and just ran out of school and really couldn't come back to play. And so the other piece is just the experience. We got a lot of guys with game experience, a lot of guys that have played a lot of plays. And the thing that I could see this year during preseason camp is, the mistakes were very minimal. We've got a lot of really positive and good reps. And those things pay dividends much earlier in the season for you. And so those are a few things that stick out when you talk about 26 seniors.
So you were talking about leadership. Who will fill the leadership roles on both sides of the ball?
Well, we got 3 young men right here that are very deserving of being captains for our team. Vinny Winey, Andrew Foster, and Mark Pappas. Mark's our quarterback, Vinny's our Mike linebacker, Andrew's our kicker punter. So when you talk about offense, defense, special teams, these are the 3 guys that have the respect of their peers. They lead by example, and they're all very vocal. So, those guys are going to lead and really be the face of that unit. Outside of that, we've got a lot of guys coming back. We've got tremendous leadership. And when I use that word, I don't want to misuse it, but we've got a really mature team this year. And so far, we're a very poised team. And those things are very, very important once you start playing. Keeping your composure. This is a tough game. It's a physical game. And those things help in the area of discipline and making good decisions. And so we're going to rely on these guys, but we got a lot of other guys on our team that are not only lead by example type guys, but are very vocal. And so it goes back to what Chuck said, 26 guys that have been here for a long time. And so that's going to hopefully all that's going to help.
Coach, we talked in the spring a little bit about how, because of COVID protocol, the team members are isolated within their own little groups and pods. Regulations have relaxed just a little bit, but I wonder how much of that you're keeping on board because it created better relationships within the team.
Yeah, gosh, really don't want to go back to think about it, to be honest with you. It was difficult. It was difficult. It was in this sport, in my profession, and in college athletics, when you plan, we're probably about 4 to 6 months out as far as planning. And so when you're talking about what we had to do in the spring and with all the protocols and COVID, it was dictating pretty much a 24 to 48 hour window. And so there was a lot of the restrictions, I think, really didn't benefit our team in a way it would normally benefit us. And what I mean is that that camaraderie, the relationships, the getting to know everybody, we were very restricted in those areas. So we had to think outside the box. We had to be creative. And we tried to do as much as we could during that time. But, right now, we're following all the protocols in place right now. If we have to go back to that or resort back to that, I think it'd be much better, much easier to plan at this point. But we're to the level of vaccination that we need to be, and we hope to get even closer to 100% here in the next few weeks. So,
Rob, in the spring, there's been one win of making the FCS playoffs, and then the coaches poll comes out for the fall. You're picked 7th in the PFL. Is that something you just say, it's a meaningless preseason poll, or is that you were disrespected, were overlooked? We need to show people just how good we are.
yeah, I don't get too caught up in that. I'm not a bulletin board guy. It is what it is. I think our message to our players is, listen, we got to go out and got to earn it. And we were very close in the spring. 24-21. We lost that game down there with a lightning delay and short halftime, and but we had some opportunities in that game, and we could have won that game. And so now, the thing is, I think, like I said, the message when we got back here, we didn't want it to start over. We wanted to just kind of pick up where we left off in the spring, off of that 4-1 record, undefeated home record, and try and make the best of it. It's funny how that works, right? Like, we're picked 7th. We have the second most all-conference preseason picks, right? And then I don't know if you've seen the AFCA poll, coaches poll that came out this week, top 25. We actually received 9 votes in that poll, and others receiving votes, and that was the most in the PFL. So the coaches that I watched our film in the spring, I think they realized how much progress we made and the level of football team we were, when we got into those last 3-4 weeks of the season.
I'll talk about your offense a little bit. There are a lot of weapons there, aren't there?
Yeah, we pretty excited about it. Pretty excited about both sides of the ball. Defensively, we just got a ton of depth. Offensively, we got a lot of guys that can really play. We're as talented as we've ever been at the running back spot and probably the receiver spot. And we've got some guys. Obviously, B.J. Bird had a huge spring for us. Had, I think, 10 touchdowns total. Thomas Campbell came on the scene, had a really strong spring. And we're a little beat up there at the running back. We didn't rush the ball very good. in the spring, but we were playing 2 freshman old linemen too. You know, and our left tackle ended up playing center the last 3 games. So we struggled a little bit there to rush the football. We hope to be better there. And then, of course, Mark coming back and, you know, leading our offense as our quarterback. Had a tremendous spring, was first team all conference. Probably could have been, you know, mentioned as the offensive player of the year in the spring. So, yeah, we're excited. We got some new additions too on the outside. Of course, Devontae Adams is coming back. He didn't play till late in the spring last year because of some injuries. Obviously, Ian Holder, Mikey Armour had a pretty solid spring. He's really improved a lot. And we got some young guys and new guys you guys hadn't heard about that I think you're going to hear their name as well.
With so many older guys, do you do less teaching maybe in terms of you don't have to instruct every single detail, and it's more just kind of fine tuning things?
Yeah, I catch myself doing that. You know, I mean, I think I take a lot of pride in being a really good teacher. I think our players will tell you the same thing. But what I see a lot more, another benefit of having all these older kids, older players, is they're doing a lot of the teaching and correcting. You know, so we're teaching something a few times, minimizing mistakes, but we got a lot of older players in all facets of our team that are really doing a lot of coaching, a lot of helping on the field. And those things make a big difference.
Biggest area of emphasis to improve that you saw from the spring to now is what?
Biggest area of emphasis. I think a couple things. Number one is just a belief of winning. I think that we took a huge step there in the spring. And I think we got a team that's really hungry, and I think they believe they're going to win. You know, and it took us a little bit last spring to kind of kickstart that. You know, we played James Madison after 8 practices, you know, and it showed. You know, took 3 days to shovel our field off. You know, we had snow on it. So we improved a lot there. But I think just the belief that we think that we can win, that we know we're going to win, you got to have that type of approach and attitude. And I think I got a team that is doing that right now. And then just playing 4 quarters of football, you know, like finishing games. And then in spring, we had a lot of, you know, maybe a second quarter or a third quarter that just really hurt us in the game. We gave up some really key plays there. So I think that just finishing series, finishing halves, finishing quarters, and obviously finishing games.